Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. I don't have a guest this week, so I figured I would do a quick Q&A because I wanted to be consistent and make sure that I constantly post. So I am your guest. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Biggie. I own Deli Fresh Threads, and I've been doing, close to 180 episodes of Lunch with Biggie podcast, where I basically get to talk with great creatives and small business owners, telling their story and just kind of getting to know them and being able to do things like that. I posted on social. If anyone had any questions or anything that they wanted to share or wanted me to answer, just because I thought it'd be a fun Q&A. And I actually figured I'd make it into like a real lunch with Biggie where you're actually eating lunch with me. My lunch is actually a Mama Ling Ling from Pom Poms. If you haven't been, they're back. They're over at Henry's Depot. Don't worry, you won't hear me chewing, no ASMR type stuff. If you're listening to this, I won't make you listen to me eat, but I am very excited to dig into Mama Ling Ling. It has been quite a while, and I do get it. I get it with pumpernickel. So let's go over some questions that I got. I appreciate everyone that interacts with me on social, especially when I ask questions, or make comments and you guys respond back. So I really do appreciate that with you. So one that I got here was, what childhood lunch memory that has stuck with you? And I'll admit the lunch memory that sticks with me is, so as a kid, I was a heavy kid. I guess they would I think they called it husky is what it was. And I never really got to eat sandwiches. I think this is kind of, psychologically, I think this is one of the reasons why sandwiches became a love of mine and almost like an obsession, because it was not something that I got to eat too often during lunch. So my dad would usually make me lunch, and usually it was like a little can of tuna and an orange little Tupperware thing. And that's usually what I would have for lunch with like some other snacks and stuff like that. I did have an occasional lunch, like sandwich, but it was very rare. My favorite, obviously, when my mom made meatloaf, we would have meatloaf sandwiches. That just hit. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't wait to eat lunch. But that was kind of definitely the memories. My dad was the one that would make me lunch, and he would usually make me a sandwich. Like if he did, if it was sandwiches were to be made, it would usually be my dad. But for the most part, I did not eat a lot of sandwiches as a kid. So if you're ever wondering why is he so obsessed with that? That's probably the reason why I started a clothing brand of it, because I didn't get to have it as a kid. And then obviously once I was in college and got older, I was obviously able to make my own food. So that's definitely a childhood memory that I appreciate. Someone asked me, I think it was Blair, asked me, what gave you the drive to be so supportive of your local art and food scene? The reason I think I love doing stuff like this, and I have the podcast, and I want to highlight and I want to showcase so many people that are artists. And one, because I love creatives. Something special about what creative people do. And I just want, if I could just give them some form of showcase or a highlight, I'm all about it. The other thing I think for me is, it's when it comes to like food, art, music, things like that, that is like a way of a reflection of you and showcasing yourself. And I think to me, that is something that is very special to be able to see. And also at the same time, it's very scary, to be able to do that, especially when you have an idea and it's a little bit different than what other people expect or like, and you put yourself out there. And I think to me, I don't know, I always kind of want to showcase and highlight those people, because I think it's special that they have something that they're so passionate about that they're wanting to do. And so for me, that's one big thing of it. Two, obviously I have a full-time job, but I also have a small business. So I totally understand and totally have massive compassion and empathy, and just total, like, I'm amazed by all the people that actually that do their small businesses full time, and the hustle and the amount of work and energy and effort that it takes. So I think that it's super important. That's one of the reasons why, it's like, this is my birthday episode, so I'm probably going to release this on my birthday, September 20th. And every year I ask for the same thing. I don't get it very often. I'll call it out like how it is. I don't get it very often in the sense of what it is, but my only ask usually is, tell people about my podcast, tell people about my business. And then the other one is always like, highlight, even if you don't do mine, highlight some other small business. And I think that's like anything, like there's no other thing that that's one of the reasons why I have so many, I try to have guests, all from all different scopes, from successful ones to just ones starting out, people that I find interesting. I want to be able to showcase them and have them and highlight them in a way, because it's just so important. The word of mouth, more people hear it, the more times they hear it, they'll, guess what, the more opportunity that they'll actually have to be able to sell and want to buy from you. So that is something to me why it's such an important aspect of what I do, and why I like doing it. And obviously, I think, chains are fine, but there's just something about a small business and what they do, and especially if the food is good, man, like, you gotta tell people, and I laugh at the memes that I see from people, like, McDonald's, and I use McDonald's as an example, but like, let's say a chain can mess up and you have no problem with it. A small business messes up and you guys like fly off the railings on it. And I have issues with that, because they're small businesses. I know, because I've interacted with so many of them during sandwich eat up events that I would do every month. And those small businesses, they're just trying to make their stuff work. Like, it's not like they have all this free time to try to do things. So I don't know, that's just one of the reasons why I love what they do. I know it's a lot of work, it's hard, and so it's just something that I'm very passionate about. I think it's just amazing what they do, and I just want to be, if I can help them in some way or another, I want to do that. So I was asked, I think this was Elliot from Red Panda and Baba Yaga. He sent me a few, actually, and so I'll kind of go over some of these, and some kind of go from all ranges of things. So enjoy. He asked, when do you feel most fulfilled? That's a great one, because I don't know I don't know if I ever feel fulfilled. I'm grateful, and I'm very, like, I just love, like, like, I'm very grateful, and I take the moment to enjoy the little things. But I don't know if sometimes, if I ever do get to that point where I feel fulfilled. Like, I'm really bad at taking compliments. I'm really bad at acknowledging what I've accomplished or what I've done. And a lot of that obviously is, we all kind of, I think, for the most part, all of us kind of feel that way, especially small businesses, because you start looking at other people, you start looking at social media, and obviously all those things play factors in these things. And I think that's kind of one of those things. So for me, most fulfilled, I would probably say, is when I'm with my family, and quality time with my family, just spending time with them. I'm very grateful, and I absolutely love being able to do that. It's something that there's moments, and I just kind of look at them and I just say, hey guys, I love you. I just, like, I feel like sometimes you just take a stop and you have to, like, actually acknowledge those moments, whether it's your friends or your family, be able to tell them those things. I think it's so important, because I'd rather have my flowers now than when I die. So that's kind of really where it is. Another question he had for me was, can anything beat the feeling of being a parent? No, I don't know if there's another feeling of being a parent, but I will tell you also, it's one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest jobs. There's no book, there's no pamphlet, there's no instruction manual. Once you think you figured it out, you don't. I kind of laugh, because we and I realize this now, obviously, being a parent, like, you start realizing, like, you start kind of paying attention to the things of how your family is. Like, my mom and dad, they love me with all their heart. They would give up everything and anything for me. But there's also things that sometimes you just kind of have to make sacrifices. And there's certain things, maybe your upbringings were different, and then therefore you don't know how to do anything different. And then that's just kind of how it is. So a lot of times, at least for me, and I feel like my wife Kristen as well, like, we both kind of have that thing where we wanted to provide things to our daughter that we didn't get to have those opportunities for them. So you always want to, obviously, like, better. Like, I want my kid to be, like, I don't want my kid obviously to be in therapy going, well, my parents messed me up. But I jokingly tell her, that could happen. Like, there may be something that I totally did that I didn't mean to, because everything that I do for out of love, and be present and there. But at the same time, like, I do my best, and sometimes maybe that is not exactly, I could have done better, or I could have done something different. So that is definitely the hardest part about being a parent. And I'm getting into a new new evolution of parenthood, where my kids growing up, they're going to college, they're going to go to college soon. And so there's a lot of like, kind of like, okay, well, did I do everything that I should have done? Because I'm about to send them off to the world. It's kind of like that baby bird flying out. So, and so it'll be very interesting to see how that kind of goes in that evolution and that transition of being a parent. But I love it. I love my daughter. I love hanging out with her. It's probably one of the greatest. I love that relationship that we have as parent and, dad and daughter, and the relationship my wife has. And like, I don't know, I just love it. It's just like seriously awesome. So yeah, there's that. If you could tell your child self anything to watch out for, what would it be? So it's interesting because I would say to kind of be able to dream big, not live in fear. And I would also probably tell my child self that it's, that you're doing great, and to take it in. And the other thing I would probably tell it, because I would I sometimes tell my daughter this, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if you realize this, if you're listening to this. Like when we were a kid, everything is so accelerated. And it's the same thing in business. Like we want to go so fast. Like we want to be successful. We want to do all these things. We want everything to happen so quick. And a lot of times it is a slow burn, right? It is a slow burn and it's a slow process. And that's the one thing I wish I probably would 100% tell myself is like, be a kid. Like be a kid. Don't grow up so fast, because once you're an adult, guess what? You're an adult and you're locked in, and it does not, like, I mean, yeah, it does not get better than when you were a kid. It does not. You got responsibilities, you got bills, you got taxes, you got, where am I going to live? What am I going to do? It's just the adulting is hard. So that would be definitely the thing I would tell myself would be basically be a kid, stay a kid, have childlike, keep your childlike, demeanor or aspects of life, and enjoy those little things, because once you become an adult, it can, and if you don't go in the right mindset, it's not anything close to what being a child is like. Let's see here. So the next question I got, and you can see I got a whole bunch of them here. So the question was, if it would ensure incredible success, how much pain would you endure? Would you give up a limb? I don't know if I would give up a limb for it. I also don't know. I'm a I'm I'm at a weird, this is one of those where, like, for the ones listening, I appreciate you listening to this. I'm in a weird place right now. Because I kind of try to figure out what it is that I want to, like. I don't know. I turned 49. So when you're listening to this, I will be 49 years old. So I will be close to half a century, coming up. And yes, I know I look good for my age, but at the same time, I'm not, I don't know, like, I'm not very good at the whole idea of, and this is obviously something that I have to work on, and I plan to work on in my 49 going into 50, is the fact that I'm not very good at telling people or manifesting or seeing what it is that I find or want. And so I think it's like my human design is not meant for like that way. There's like a feeling. It's not like something that I want to have. Like, I don't want to be the richest. I don't need to make a certain amount of money. I want success, and I want things to grow and see like a progress, but it's like a feeling. But even then, sometimes I feel like, and that's the thing I'm trying to learn, is like the idea of fulfillment and all, and joy of like those things. Like, those things are they fulfilling? Are they doing? What are they doing? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And I think that's like a big one that we go through, right? Where we try to figure out what it is that we, and so like that level of success, like what is your definition of success? What is your North Star? What are you trying to get to? And I think, to me, that's like a big one, because I sometimes I don't really know. Like, yeah, I would love Deli Fresh Dreads to blow up and be a national brand that everyone knows and loves and wears and does all that stuff. And I'd love for this podcast to, like, be huge and help all these other small businesses and get to know other small businesses across the country and things like that. And, these are all things that I would love, because I enjoy them. That's the reason why I make time to do these things, even though I have a full-time job and I have a family. Like, you make time for these things. So I think, to me, that's like a big one, is like, would I be willing to give up a limb? I don't know if I'd give up a limb, but I don't know. Like, it's like, what do you think is special about your mind that you've accomplished all this? See, like, this is a thing where I'm like, I don't, I don't know. And it's funny, because when I was in therapy, my therapist would say that to me. He's like, you, in your mind, you look at it as, this is just how it is. This is how you do it. And you're just doing these things, and you're doing all these different projects. But in my mind, and who knows what it is, but in my mind, my brain is, well, you're doing all these projects, they're good, but they're could they be great? Like, what if I didn't do some of them? Could I be great in something else? But at the same time, they're all things that I'm passionate about, and I enjoy doing, and I find time to do. So it's like hard because I don't, and it's kind of, I guess, kind of sad. Like people, like when I'm just not good at it. I literally, the last thing my therapist said to me before he broke up with me was, he's like, well, just basically thank them. Don't like say, don't minimize it. Just thank it, and then you process it the way it is. And my therapist obviously was like a cognitive therapist, so he basically thought, I gave you all the tools, you can figure it out, you can handle your own things. But I'm in the lookout for a therapist as I share with you, because I'm basically just talking to myself, which is very odd to do a podcast talking to myself. I don't know how people do it. God bless you for all those that do podcasts by yourself, because this is just me talking to myself. It's kind of weird. Let's see. If I could only eat one deli sandwich for the rest of my life, what would it be and why? Oh, that's a good one. I'm usually a guy when I go to like a deli, I usually like the sandwiches that have multiple meats. I'm not a turkey, and I can't just do turkey. I usually do like the roast beef, ham and turkey is usually what I do, or like kind of like one of those ultimate type combos. That's one of the ones that I usually like to do. I think if I had to eat that, that would be what I would eat. And then I would probably figure out ways of how I can like manipulate. So then if I needed to, I can take out some of the meat and just have the turkey, or I just have the roast beef sometimes. If that was the only deli sandwich I was allowed to eat, it would give me a lot of options to be able to do. That's pretty much, I think, the one that I would do. Most embarrassing thing that's happened while eating. I will say I make it a purpose or a point when I have Caesar salad or salad to cut it up, because I always feel that when I eat it, like, they're like the long romaine lettuces and you're eating it. And as you go, I literally sometimes feel like I'm a cow or maybe a manatee chewing, and I'm like with the leaf like hanging out. And I've had that happen a few times. Sometimes obviously things will fall and go into my beard. And so my daughter or my wife will be like, hey, you got stuff on your beard. And I'm like, oh, I'm saving it for later, total dad joke. But it's not, those are the only things that are kind of where I kind of do that. Let's see what else I have. What the other question I got was, what is your favorite way to bring yourself joy? I think so. It's funny. I do get joy and I get energized, and I will say, because of the fact that my Deli Fresh Threads is a business where it's small, it's a small business, and I do it online. One of the things that I do find joy is when I get to interact and do events, especially when it's a good event, like where there's a lot of people, and and I start interacting with people, whether it's people I'm just learning about, meeting for the first time, people who are coming just to kind of say hi and be able to chat and reconnect with, seeing people, like those things kind of, it's just something special about that. In that aspect for that. The other part of, like, I guess, favorite way, other ways that I bring joy to myself is like, I love hanging out and being able to just do, sometimes my daughter and I, or my wife and I will go and we'll like do something, like a little treat for ourselves. I do like sweets, and so I sometimes will like to kind of go and do one of those things. The other big thing would be probably what I'm doing. If you're listening to this, depending on when you're listening to this, I'm a huge UCF Knight. I'm graduated from UCF. I have a UCF tattoo. I am diehard black and gold, and so for me, that is what brings me joy. So obviously, I obviously, when they win, they bring me more joy. When they lose, not so much. But I've learned through the years that obviously I don't need that to like dictate. What's interesting is that they play when on the 20th, they will play University of North Carolina, and that is actually on my birthday. So I call it, to me, it's like my birthday party. I get to celebrate with a bunch of UCF fans, and hopefully we all come out with like the present that I want, which is a UCF win. But I've had horrible experiences that way, so I kind of know that I don't tend to put all my, back in the day when I was younger, I was very obsessed with UCF, and so a lot of times what I would do is, we would, back in the day when I was in college, UCF didn't really have a lot of as many home games during this time of the year in September. So I would end up going on road trips with my friends, which was great because my friends and I, we would just go somewhere. We would go to like Georgia, we would go to Georgia Tech, or, and one year, I'll never forget it. One year we went to Purdue. So we drove all the way to Indiana to go watch. It was Drew Brees actually was playing. And I think it was like with Dante, I think is what it was. And I remember we got our butts handed to us. And I remember My birthday was that weekend, so my birthday was going to be the drive home. So I knew I was either going to be ecstatic that we won, or I was going to be miserable. And I remember being miserable in the back seat, and I literally probably slept the entire drive home. Like I just didn't want. I was just bummed the heck, which is nuts. And then another one that was kind of funny, and I'll share as my last birthday story of UCF football games that bring me joy, which is kind of embarrassing as well. So back in the day when I was a UCF student, we would have our football games was at the Citrus Bowl, or now Camping World. And I was 21, and I was super excited that I was going to get to actually tailgate and drink, legally be able to drink. So I was super excited. And I remember going into this parking lot that we were going to, and the parking lot was like fenced in because it was like a practice field fenced in area. Got super excited. This is obviously many years ago. And I remember jumping out of the car, super excited. Car was still running. And I don't know what I did, but I somehow locked my car running with beer in the back seat. And I basically was like, what am I going to do? So I had to call AAA, wait for AAA. AAA had to somehow find me through the parking lot. And then I had to basically wait. And so obviously I didn't get to drink my beer because it took many hours. I did have some friends that brought me stuff to celebrate, but I was literally had to sit by my car and wait. So that's like one of those like bad UCFs. Like those are my bad UCF stories. And I think I even have, I'll tell you, this is kind of anal, or kind of weird, but I actually have a spreadsheet of UCF's record, like the weekend of my birthday, and then also on my birthday, what the record is, because I just started realizing that it was just like, it just was, we weren't winning that often because we would always play a hard team during that time. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, either way, I know it'll be a good time. I'm happy. I'm super excited. The other big thing that's fun about it is September 20th is, and you can help celebrate this, it's National Fried Rice Day and also National Pepperoni Pizza Day. And I think it's also National Dance Day. Like, they want you to dance or whatever. I love those made up holidays. I just think it's super fun. I guess I'll finish up with a question that I ask myself. What advice would you give someone wanting to start something? Obviously I'm going to tell you to start it, but I'm also going to tell you to give yourself some grace and enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy what you are trying to accomplish and trying to do. Don't be afraid to ask your friends and people around you. The other thing I will say, depending on what it is, if you're opening a business, I don't want to make sure how this sounds. Your family and your friends are not your customer. Like, unless obviously they are your customer, but they technically are not your customer. They may be the initial customer, like they'll buy your first thing because out of, hey, I'm excited for you, but they may not be the ones that continue buying from you as you progress. And that's okay, because you didn't build the company for them or start something for them. You started it for yourself and for the community and the people that you want to build around. So I definitely would say that is something that I would recommend. And I suggest that don't do it for them, do it for your community, and also for like the community that you're trying to build, as well as also what you're wanting to build for yourself. That's really the biggest ones. So yeah, I wanted to just, I wanted to take a few minutes, a short episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do more of these. If you have questions, let me know. If you actually listen to this, we'll find out, I guess, when I see how long people actually listen for. But I do appreciate you being on. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to me for being, for logging on and doing this. And I obviously, if you support me and support the podcast, I can't say it enough. Share it, tell people. If you find a guest that you're interested in, go support them, or heck, even go tell them that, hey, I heard about you on Lunch with Biggie, or, hey, you did a really good job on this. I think I love being able to chat and discuss with people their journey and what their stories is. And I think that this is just something that, I don't know, like, I feel like this is something that I'm meant to be doing. And I'd love to try to grow this and continue on getting closer as I get closer to 200 episodes, which is great. But if you support me, subscribe, obviously leave a review, go listen to some of the other episodes that are evergreen. So you should be able to hear quite a bit of stories. I love seeing some of the guests that we've had on and their success that they've had, after we've talked, not because of me, but because that I just knew I needed to talk to them. And it's just great to be able to see them in the very beginning, and then I'll see them explode and have multiple locations and different things like that, and just achieve so much success. That's literally where my biggest thing is. Like, I absolutely love seeing people succeed. I love people seeing people happy. I love seeing people be in love. I love people, seeing people doing what they're passionate about and doing it. Like there's just something special about that to me. I don't know, it just makes my heart happy to see people doing things that they love and people appreciating it and then being successful because of it. I mean, it is awesome. And I think there's plenty of room for all of us to succeed and grow. So therefore I am all about it. Like I am automatic cheerleader for everyone. I think there's room for all clothing brands to do their thing and succeed, and just like podcasts and all those other things. I mean, I don't know, I just think it's awesome. So I'm definitely one to do that. Obviously, if you want to support me, check out Deli Fresh Threads. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches, follow your passion, and thanks. I'm Biggie. Talk to you soon.